Content is intended to provide accurate information, however, is not intended as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult a financial, legal, or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. Opinions expressed and provided are for general informational purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security.
Welcome to Game Plan for Retirement with Chris McIntire. McIntire Retirement Services, Northwest Ohio's retirement planning resource.
And welcome into the program. This is your Game Plan for Retirement with Northwestern Ohio's resource for a common sense approach to planning. President and founder of McIntire Retirement Services, Chris McIntire, once again joining us. And Chris, it's crunch time. It's that time of the year. I can't believe that 2022 is just a few short weeks away. The hustle and bustle of the holidays and the shorter days with winter closing in on us. It just seems like time flies by, but we need to remember our priorities this time of year as well.
Yeah, we certainly do. We're running into crunch time with some last minute things that you can do to maybe help your tax situation, your investment situation here, and then look into 2022 and get things rolling off to a good start as well.
Well, Chris, what do the holidays look like around the McIntire household?
Yeah, that's funny. We kind of have, we don't have a very big family. I have an uncle that lives in the Washington, D.C. area that typically comes into town this time of year. He's a perennial bachelor, if you will. So we have some small gatherings. This will be the first time, I think, since the pandemic that we're all going to be under one roof for an extended amount of time, and a couple of nieces there. And, we'll just some nice quiet family time. We've gotten more away from the common gift exchange, and it's just about making memories. 88-year-old dad and 84-year-old mom. My uncle is 78, so cherishing the time that we have with them, and getting to see the nieces and everybody as well.
Well, Santa has his list and he checks it twice and he makes sure that he knows who's naughty and nice. But for you, Chris, you've always been a fan of checklists, and you've got a few checklists that have helped proactive savers and investors to remain balanced, to remain goal-oriented and focused. And specifically, as we are preparing for retirement, wondering when and how we can do it. One of your checklists, the 12 questions to answer to know if you are ready, are you prepared to retire, I think really could help us stay focused on goals and balanced with our desire maybe to splurge at Christmas, but also to continue making solid financial progress.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. And I have a checklist right here that I always have with me. That I create every day. And it seems like there's always a lot of loose ends out there, especially this time of year. We want people to make sure they've taken their required minimum distributions. We want people to convert money into those Roth IRAs that had the ability and it made tax sense there. We also want to make sure if they're being charitable that they can, if they're over the age of 70 and a half, they can give money from their IRA directly to a charity. That's a very tax efficient and good tax move right there. Look at rebalancing portfolios. If we have a lot of clients with non-IRA assets, then we will look at selling some losses to lock in some losses to offset future gains, right? You do some tax loss harvesting there to offset future capital gains taxes on non-IRA accounts. Just the basic checklist, has anything changed? Do we have beneficiaries we need to update? Have grandchildren come into play? Do we need to open a new account for a grandchild if you're giving to all the other ones? A number of normal household type items, but for people with busy lives are very easy to forget. So we'd like to keep that checklist handy.
Well, that checklist, ladies and gentlemen, for you, the Are You Ready to Retire? 12 questions that I think would be fantastic to go over on your own time if retirement's on your mind, if a friend, a loved one, a relative, family member, a coworker has been talking about or thinking about retiring, give a call and request the Are You Ready checklist, and you can hand it to them. They will appreciate it. It will provide value in the questions that it will make them think about and think through as they are planning for that big transition to retirement. If you'd like that list, or if you would like to sit down and specifically address your answers to these 12 must answer, must address questions, pick up the phone and give Chris McIntire a call and request the time for that complimentary review and strategy session. 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194. 800-868-1194. And Chris, if you don't mind, could we back up for a moment and sort of take a look behind the curtain? You talk about planning for retirement and all that takes, the investment management, the income planning, the tax management. Who is it that McIntire Retirement Services really is best suited to help and assist? Who's kind of the person that you can provide that ideal value to?
Sure, Peter. And, it's obviously some folks that have, saved enough money to, work their way into their retirement and take it seriously here. So, they have those 6 and 7 figure type account balances, whether it's 401k, Roth, or non-IRA type of assets. But in a lot of cases, we help some pretty seasoned investors understand the tax ramifications. And then we help your, general middle class couple. It's kind of our bread and butter, if you will, to help them understand, the importance of changing investment philosophies as they go into retirement, because what got you to the goal line isn't necessarily what gets you over the goal line, what we call the red zone, right? Since we're in the middle of the football season, the odds of getting across that goal line increase dramatically with the proper execution of a well-devised plan. Folks that have no idea what to do about Social Security, the timing on when to take it, what all of their options are. We help a lot of folks with the estate planning as well. We have a network of attorneys, a network of accountants for the tax side of things. So, since it's football season, again, I'll use that analogy here that we help people, sometimes we're the quarterback and bring all the team together here. And, and obviously we do a lot of the wealth management, the tax side of things as well, but also to bring in, the Medicare side, the health insurance side as well through an alliance of network professionals that we have great longstanding relationships with.
Well, if that sounds like the phase of your financial progress that you are in, and you're looking for some guidance, some specific direction, help and assistance in planning, or just answers to a few questions, if any of the topics that we ever discuss on the program are things that you feel need to be addressed in your planning process, pick up the phone and give Chris McIntire a call. He waives all fees and charges associated with the initial review and strategy session and the planning design. Similar plans that he puts together could easily go upwards of $1,000 to several thousands of dollars, but there is no cost, no obligation. He wants you to have a plan in place. Pick up the phone and give a call. 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194. Chris, when and why do you find that people who have been good savers and investors actually realize they need the help of a financial advisor and some guidance and actually turn to them and seek out that help and assistance?
I think as they get close to retirement, they're about ready to make some decisions that they've never had to make ever in their life. They've been, it's kind of like when we go to elementary school or even all the way through K through 12, it's really a program here. All right, I get up in the morning, I go to school and teachers tell me what to do. A lot of folks that we work with, go to work every single day for 30 years and money comes out of their paycheck to pay their taxes, to go into their 401k and so forth. Now, all of a sudden, they're getting ready to do something they've never done before. And, I think that's where they look for our guidance and our experience in helping people make some of these decisions. Like, what pension option should they choose? Is it a rollover? Do they take the lifetime income right out of the pension? I mean, that's an irreversible decision. So understanding all of the other choices that they have in the good, the bad, and the indifferent of all of those options, because none of them are perfect, because most of us have no idea the day we're going to pass away. So, if we knew, all right, well, at age 87, I'm not going to be here anymore. So, okay, I'm going to retire at 65. What do I do for the next 20 some years? It's not that easy. You could be alive to age 95. You could spend some time in a nursing home. what are all of the options you have to mitigate all the different types of risk, longevity probably being the greatest of them all to hedge.
Chris, even for those that have been good savers and investors, proactive planners, do you find that some savers and investors wait a little too long or till after the fact to seek out some guidance when they have run into an area where they have not encountered it before? I mean, retirement's a big step. You haven't done it until you've done it, right? You only want to do it once and you don't want to make mistakes. So do you find that people may delay seeking that guidance just a little too long?
Procrastination, Pete, is certainly a trait that is innate in human beings, I guess, and everyone procrastinates. And a lot of times a confused mind always says no, because, if I don't do anything, I can't get harmed. If I make a decision, I may regret that. So, some people have, more confidence or, if you will, in their decision-making ability, and others do not. There are personality traits that come into play here. And, and as a seasoned investment advisor, I can help determine, look, is this a trait you normally, have issues with? Does it take you 6 months to decide what car to buy, or do you walk on the lot and walk out with one? Those are all parts of this entire process here. If the last time the market fell 10%, did you get scared and go into cash, or did you just weather your way through it? And, helping, understanding the personalities and our education and whatnot certainly helps us, guide folks in their decision-making process.
I felt a little bit like Yogi Berra when I said that. You haven't done it till you do it, right? It's kind of yes, that makes sense. But retirement is one of those big events that we don't want to have a do-over. We don't want to look back and say, well, we messed up, but we'll get it right next time. We want to learn from the mistakes of others so that we don't have to learn from our own mistakes, which could be painful in retirement. Chris, do you find that that's one of the biggest areas where savers and investors benefit from having that relationship with an advisor who has seen it and done it many times over and lived it almost on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. And I would say, in our world, the term advisor gets thrown around very loosely. We are truly investment advisor representatives. So, we have the ability to talk the talk and walk the walk, where we're not selling products and on to the next client. We are fee-based fiduciary type advisors. So, the things that we do must be in the client's best interest, and that's a win for them. And it's also a win for us on our, using a fee-based platform. It eliminates the conflicts of interest. So I think as the average American investor gets better educated on who's giving them advice, their confidence level goes up as well. If you turn the clock back 30 years ago, there was a lot of, it might have been a more watered down definition, where now, everybody understands what a fiduciary's role is really to do, is to look out for the client's best interest in a world where we really need that now, probably more than ever, with the lack of pensions that are out there.
Again, we are talking with Chris McIntire, president and founder of McIntire Retirement Services. If you've got questions, concerns, if you would like to be proactive in your planning, pick up the phone, give him a call, 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194. Chris, I feel like the language around that fiduciary advisor like you are has really changed over the last 20 to 30 years. It used to be my broker that offers me stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. And today the language is more about teaching and education and coaching and motivation and really understanding why clients need to have that education, what makes them tick, what their goals are, and then working a plan, not just finding investments, but working a plan that makes sense to them after they receive that education to help them achieve their goals. I think, I don't know if you've noticed that big of a change in the language, but to me, it seems like it has been a pretty big swing and shift.
Yeah, if you think about the industry, Peter, 30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, you were dealing with so many more people that had pensions, that had, and solid Social Security and, that solid income plan going into retirement. They were of the generation that paid their house off as fast as they possibly could. So they went into retirement with not a lot of debt, and they had, pension income, Social Security income, and then some investments. And they weren't real big investors. I mean, my grandparents were savers. They were never investors. This low interest rate environment that has been out there has so many more people involved in the stock market. The amount of money that can go into 401k accounts now from a tax planning perspective during the working years has led people to have, $1 million 401ks. We see them every single day. And 20 years ago, that wasn't the case by any stretch of the imagination. So, I think nowadays, without that pension platform that's there, more people are looking for investment advice on, what do I do? How do I create lifetime income? If I screw this up, it could really, be devastating. And, I would say for the folks that are listening out there today, hey, the 5 years going into retirement and the first 5 years into retirement that's a critical decade where good things and bad things could happen to you.
Well, maybe another Yogi Berra saying, you don't know what you don't know. I don't know if I am misattributing that one, but it sounds like a yogiism. How many people do you talk to, Chris, that have done a good job, that feel confident, but come in to talk to you because they want to know maybe what they don't know or what has not been addressed in their planning? Again, this retirement phase, totally different thing. We haven't done it before. And to me, I'd want to know what maybe I don't know or what I have not addressed in planning. Is that a big reason why you find people coming in to speak with you as an advisor who helps in retirement planning specifically?
Yeah. And I would say, the availability of too much information out there where everybody can Google this, that, or the other thing. And, the social media aspect probably has a lot of people that question, all right, where is this information coming from? Am I getting propaganda or am I getting the truth? And I think, today everything is, our mainstream media is probably more editorialized than ever before. And, having the ability to, parse your way through, all right, well, this was a slant, against the insurance industry. This was a slant against, mutual funds or something along those lines where, I think it's probably safe to say here on the radio that very well diversified portfolios around your risk tolerance, and having maybe a strategic plan that says, okay, I'm going to have some money here in my buy and hold strategy, but I'm also going to have some tactical money to be able to make moves as the economic conditions change rapidly. So a blend of strategic and tactical, and then having a safe money strategy in there certainly makes sense for the bulk of people that listen today. And, all the different options that are out there for safe money strategies where, we're not getting clobbered by inflation. I don't mean burying it in the backyard or a savings account, making nothing as the price of gas, works its way to $4 a gallon. Well, isn't going to get it done.
No, it's not. Unfortunately, 0.01% is not keeping up with inflation for that money in the bank. But you mentioned safe money strategies. You mentioned income planning, Social Security, pensions, tax planning. I know is a big component of the planning that you put together proactively. Long-term care protection, longevity issues. If someone has not specifically addressed these items as part of the conversations, that probably is an indication that they do need to turn over some other stones and possibly uncover the total items, all of those things that have not been addressed, the risks that they're taking, the fees that they're paying, the taxes that they may be liable for. These are kind of the tip of the iceberg that indicates there's more beneath the surface that they probably need to know and understand about their money.
Peter, the most alarming part of the retirement planning that we do for our clients and the listeners of the show and our educational classes that we do around the area is, is not preparing for the long-term care side of things, and, that can be $8,000 to $10,000 a month And for most of the people listening out there today, they've got to take that from an IRA account because that's where their money's at. And, that could be $100,000 to $120,000 a year. And the lack of planning in that area really alarms me. And I can say that because, as a power of attorney and a trustee for a dear friend of ours that, has Alzheimer's disease. And then also for my father-in-law, who spent about 6 months in the nursing home. And we had to go through the spend down process just in 2021. I just shake my head at, the person with Alzheimer's has a wonderful long-term care policy that pays 100% of the bill, and a lot, some genetics in the family that have, woke them up to do some pre-planning here for long-term care. So, how about that? The reality rang true and ended up time in a nursing home and somebody else is paying the bill. Isn't that a nice place to be?
Yeah, absolutely. But you've got to be proactive, especially with this type of financial protection. And there are some out there, Chris, that could reasonably say, hey, I'm self-insured. I've got the assets and the wherewithal to cover those expenses if I encounter them. But it's the money that gives them that sense of confidence. That's a very confident statement and a great place to be. The money is what is giving them that confidence. And in order to continue to have it, you've got to put some protection around the assets. Because if you do see that you're beginning to spend those down at a very rapid rate, you might not have the continued confidence. And generally, Chris, for a fraction of a percent of what you could earn off of that money, you can provide the protection for it and for that sense of confidence that it provides.
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. And, when we do have folks that can self-insure, that's a nice place to be, obviously. For the bulk of Americans, that isn't where they're at right now. So again, having a solid income plan, a solid estate plan, a solid long-term care plan, and, we're not talking about going into everything insurance poor or, having all your eggs in one basket, but hedging all of these risks. Your house has a 1 in 1,200 chance catching on fire. You have a 50% chance of spending time in a nursing home. Which of those two risks do you think you ought to hedge?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, if you have questions, concerns, if you'd like to uncover holes or unaddressed risks or liabilities into your planning for your future, pick up the phone, give a call, 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194, 800-868-1194. And only by poking holes in the plan and uncovering those potential risks can you then live with more confidence throughout retirement. If you've got a plan for the worst, you can hope for the best, and you can live life each and every day a little bit more confident in the stability and the structure of your plan, that it can withstand different risks and forces on you. And again, if you would like to have that kind of plan in place, if you don't have a plan, or even if you have a plan and would like to review it with a fiduciary retirement planning advisor, pick up the phone and give Chris McIntire a call, 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194. Chris, where does that conversation start? How do you open up the conversation with someone who has done well, a proactive planner, saver, investor, to really dig beneath the surface and find out what their money means to them and what they want to do with it?
Sure. A lot of times you ask with what's the best financial decision you think you've ever made? And then on the other side of that, what's the worst one you think you ever made?
Fair enough.
And then what did you learn from that? And just, kind of get the conversation out there, get started at, hey, I'm a boater, so I could tell you what the worst financial decision I've ever made.
Bust out another 1,000.
Yeah, amen to that. Yes.
Yep. The acronym for boat. What do they say? The two best days in a boater's life. The first one is the day they buy the boat. The second one is the day they sell it, Chris.
And most of us would say those are actually reversed, right? Yeah. And I've been on both sides of that. I got out and got back in. So.
Well, I know that, Chris, a lot of people who have done very well, who have built reasonable wealth and accumulated good money, have had the help and the assistance of advisors during that accumulation phase. But not every advisor has the same perspective. Can you talk for a moment about the shift and the difference in the paradigm of a retirement advisor focused on distribution and income versus just the accumulation side of things?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a very important aspect to highlight to folks on the show here today is, the bulk of our clients are in that retirement phase or just leading up to it in all reality. And, how you transition to building an income portfolio out of a lump sum pension, what do you do with that versus, maybe an accumulation type advisor that is all stocks all the time. And here's one of our turnkey portfolios, kind of like those retirement lifestyle funds, if you will. Well, I'm going to retire in 2025. So that makes sense. I'm just going to put all my eggs in that basket and I'm going to let T. Rowe Price or Vanguard or whoever it is run that for me. And, and right now that would mean, all right, as the calendar flips, that's getting more and more into the bond market, going into a rising interest rate environment, which would probably be something we would want to mitigate and look at all the other different avenues available than just the traditional, as I retire, I'm going to own more bonds. Well, you want to own more bonds when it makes sense to own more bonds, and look at other diversification, which you don't always get with, a turnkey approach, if you will. Got to be more actively involved.
If we show up at a doctor's office, Chris, the doctor, as we come in, is going to take our vitals, our pulse, our blood pressure, height, weight, those kind of things. Blood oxygen level is a new one that I've found they're testing a lot. Our temperature. Are those the kind of things that you seek to uncover to give signs of somebody's financial vitals, of their financial health? And what are you looking for maybe as some of the top signs of a solid financial and retirement plan?
Yeah, I'd like to, see how organized they are when they bring things into the office. Is it still in the envelope or has it been put onto a spreadsheet, that kind of thing? And, are they cognizant of the taxation that they're paying? Or are they just, going through the motions? And not that there's anything wrong with that, but again, it kind of tells me the level of service that they're going to need and where I can help them become more proactive and help them educate themselves. We also look for, folks that are, aware of what their monthly budget is, right off the top of the, they say, look, here we spend about $4,800 a month. Okay. Or is it's around 5,000, somebody that says it's $4,800 versus it's around 5,000 knows what that number is. And that certainly is someone who's honed the details down a little bit. They're paying very, very close attention to money in versus money out. And that makes my job a little bit easier here, but it helps me to determine where I need to fit in. I think that's probably a skill set that I have is, knowing how to adapt to what the client actually needs instead of, like you say, well, just because you're 65 years old, here's what you need to do. I have to take their temperature. I have to read, the health indications and whatnot that they have as well, too.
Well, there are many items that you should take care of or consider taking care of before the turn of the calendar year, which really means before the final holiday season here, which really means now. And Santa, he's got his list. He checks it twice. Chris McIntire also has several lists of items that you need to take care of and check off your financial list. And maybe some of them are not immediate for this year, but some of them could be. And if you address those items, it could give you an advantage and a leg up moving into next year and all the years beyond. So let's be proactive and let's have that conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Uncover the holes in your plan, the risks that you are exposed to, troubleshoot that plan or design a plan, and then talk over how that will work to help you achieve your financial goals into and throughout retirement with an experienced, qualified professional, your resource, Chris McIntire. Give him a call, 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194, 800-868-1194. Chris, always a pleasure, and it's great to have you as a resource, reminding us of what's truly important with making these important big financial decisions.
My pleasure. Happy to be with everybody. Hope you got a lot out of today's show and be safe.
Visit McIntyreRetirementServices.com for many additional valuable resources, including other great episodes of Game Plan for Retirement with Chris McIntire. Be sure to subscribe.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor. Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services. Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.
Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Indexed or fixed annuities are not designed for short-term investments and may be subject to caps, restrictions, fees, and surrender charges as described in the annuity contract.